I'm going to stand by this. And I've told y'all this before. Our mayor, I don't believe, is a bad person. I do believe that he wants the best for New York City. And I also think that he made mistakes. But this right here is a conversation that we should have had about 20 years ago. I'm very happy that he's having it now. There's people with mental health disorders that need help. And when they cry out and they ask for help, they're called crazy and then they get no assistance. That's what we're talking about right now. Let's go.
We're doing no favors for our brothers and sisters living on the street, dealing with severe mental health illness, and walking by them, waiting until they commit a crime or waiting until they do a violent act and traumatize a family member. Can't have a system where 50% of the people at Rikers Island have mental health illnesses and believe that that's the answer to the problem. We're going to respect civil liberties, but you don't respect individuals when you ignore that they're crying out for help. The cruel aspects of severe mental illness is that it sometimes prevent those who need help to recognize the need that they require. And that is why we have laws that allow involuntary care. Maintaining public safety and making sure our city continues to be the safest big city in America is an ongoing effort. And this duality of technology and our mental health approach is going to accomplish the goal that we seek. Transit riders should be safe. Our city should be safe. People should receive the care that they deserve. There's no place for guns and weapons on our transit system, and we're going to respond to call. We have to meet this head on, and the laws must match the policies that we are attempting to implement. This will empower us to scale up our efforts and ensure that we are considering a patient's entire history, not take to the hospital one day, give them medication, and then relieve them, but to take into account their entire history so that we can give them exactly what they need and make the determination whether to admit them to a hospital and give them the care that they deserve. If we remove these barriers, this would make common sense approaches to change on how we're seeing the mental health crisis adjust. This will allow us to get even more people with untreated severe mental illness the help that they need. And I want to be clear, these change rules will apply to a small number of people. Those with mental illness is severe and is going untreated.
BBN! Jack Frost! What's up, party people? Aight, so... Yeah! So apparently, the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, has decided to actually help the homeless. Okay. First thing I'm going to say is shout out to this act from a Democrat. I rarely have the opportunity to come on here and tell y'all about a Democrat doing something that I agree with. A lot of things happen that other people agree with, that they think are good ideas that the Democrats put into play, or politicians in general, that I might not agree with because I'm looking long term. I'm looking so far down the road. So I think a lot of these things are bad ideas. I'll give you a real quick example. When George Bush Jr. first talked about the situation where they wanted to do the No Child Left Behind, and I was telling people, I was like, this is a bad idea. I was told I don't like black people. I was told I'm bad for the... I mean, people were going crazy, arguing with me. I don't know no better. Remember, when the No Child Left Behind thing happened, I was probably in my early 20s when they started this. Late teens, early 20s, something like that. So, I was in my early 20s. So, when I'm busy trying to tell people that this was a bad idea, what happened was I was just getting so much pushback. Every once in a while, I'll come across somebody that says, agree with me, it's a bad idea. And almost every person that I came across that agreed with me, it was a bad idea, worked actually in the Board of Ed. Like almost probably 90% of the people that agreed with me worked in the Board of Ed. So when this first happened, there were a lot of teachers, principals, guidance counselors, and whatnot that were basically saying that this was a terrible idea and this is not something that they wanted. Now, fast forward to now. Schools don't even have enough government funding to stay open, and they have to rent out portions of the building to other smaller schools and able to pay the rent. Yeah, that's a real thing. So now we're talking about Eric Adams and how he has decided what he wants to do is help people that are homeless. He wants to help the mentally ill. He actually addressed the fact that something like 50% of the people in Rikers Island are the mentally ill. That means that we're not doing enough to help the people that need assistance. When we see these people on the train and they're acting out, a lot of times that's because they're desperate. A lot of times that's what that is. Those are acts of desperation. But people will see somebody do an act of desperation and say, you know what? That's outside of the norm. Put them in jail, lock them up, do all of the bad things. And it feels good to hear that New York City is now moving in a different direction. I've consistently said that we need more presence on the actual platform. So what they're planning on doing in New York City is they're basically planning on putting like metal detectors or some shit up that you're gonna have to walk through, and they're gonna have, I guess, police officers at the metal detectors. Now I need for y'all to understand what's really going on. This is just another way for them to be able to, I'm happy that they're, I'll get to what he's addressing in a minute, but hold on. This is just another way for them to not actually have police on the platform and to have them at the booth trying to make sure people pay. That's all they're trying to do. People can still get onto the train. You don't even have to have a metal weapon. Remember, this thing is only to gauge metal on a person if they're carrying a gun or a knife or something. What if they came from prison, they just carrying their shiv? Like, there's tons of ways to make a weapon and it not be metal. Just so we could be clear. Also, they have the freaking guns that they're making. That's the 3D printed guns. So there's other ways to get weapons onto the train other than them being metal or them being a gun. I just want to address this. So, Mayor, you want to help the people who are mentally ill. This is the first thing you're going to have to do. You're going to have to remove the migrants from the shelters. When you remove the migrants from the shelters, you get a shelter specifically that are for mentally ill people. So now you don't have to send them to prison. When they commit a crime, they're going to go to the shelter and they'll be monitored and watched. And if their behavior doesn't improve, then they're going to go back to court and then they'll get sentenced. It's literally that easy. Now, obviously, if they harm somebody, they go straight to jail. It is what it is. Obviously, if they do an overt criminal act, they go straight to jail. It is what it is. There's too many people sleeping on the trains that aren't getting assistance from New York City. You need to have New York City employees, it has to be a new department obviously, that are walking on the trains just giving away free food. I don't care if a person look like they're clean. And the free food that they're giving away, just so we could be clear, I don't want somebody getting on the train and say, I'm here for homeless services. We're not doing that. You're gonna have a stop. Like 125th, shitload of homeless people are already there. Grand Central, a shitload of homeless people are already there. Atlantic Avenue, a shitload of homeless people are already there. You have these stations throughout the city that there's already a crap load of homeless people. 161st River Avenue, shitload of homeless people are already there. You use a hub that has multiple trains, preferably more than two. 161st only has two, but preferably more than two. Well, I guess it got three, the D, the B, the C. So I guess you could say C goes there sometimes. But you get my point. And you set up on the platform or just in the area, in the station, a place where people can just go and get food. And if somebody wants to donate, donate. These people need help and need assistance. They don't need people saying you stink. They don't need people. Do you understand that these homeless people are getting on the train asking hundreds and hundreds of people for a change or a dollar, thousands in some days, and most of them aren't coming away with anything? And I'm not saying that they should, but what I'm saying is to be dejected like that, be rejected like that all day has to leave you dejected. We need real homeless services. We need for businesses to be able to write off on taxes when they give their food away to the fucking homeless. Why is all of these restaurants just throwing food away at the end of the day? We have this much food left. Up to a certain amount, they should be able to write off on taxes. They got cameras in all of these buildings. You can see the people coming and getting free food. People do not have to starve. People do not have to be hungry. Not when the McDonald's of the world, the Burger Kings of the world, all of these the Dunkin' Donuts specifically, those guys are terrible with it because, when you at Burger King or McDonald's or whatever, a lot of that food is made to order. The Dunkin' Donuts of the world, they just got to make it and hope it get bought. The Krispy Kremes of the world. Why don't you got one of these homeless services places that they're giving away free food set up somewhere like Times Square, Fordham Road, Fulton Avenue? So these are some good first steps. I think our mayor means us good. He made a bad deal with DC and it screwed up his ability to be able to pay for anything. He just didn't know any better. Blame Biden. Like, comment, subscribe. Join the notification gang. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you. And that's all I get on this one. I'm out.
Doing no favors for our brothers and sisters living on the street, dealing with severe mental health illness, and walking by them, waiting until they commit a crime, or waiting until they do a violent act and traumatize a family member. Can have a system where 50% of the people at Rikers Island have mental health illnesses and believe that that's the answer to the problem. We're going to respect civil liberties, but you don't respect individuals when you ignore that they're crying out for help. The cruel aspects of severe mental illness is that it sometimes prevent those who need help to recognize the need that they require. And that is why we have laws that allow involuntary care. Maintaining public safety and making sure our city continues to be the safest big city in America is an ongoing effort. And this duality of technology and our mental health approach is going to accomplish the goal that we seek. Transit riders should be safe. Our city should be safe. People should receive the care that they deserve. There's no place for guns and weapons on our transit system, and we're going to respond to call.